Salutations, Future Twig. Past Twig here once again, and we're back with another miniature machinations for each other. We're finally done with the robot warband and actually moving on to the next project I did, which was actually the Pillar of Autumn, which, if you guys are unfamiliar, is a spaceship from the Halo video game franchise. In fact, it was the first spaceship back in the old Halo Combat Evolved days. And I decided I wanted my own version of that spaceship for myself, so I decided to create one. And getting right into it, of course, here we are. So here's the Pillar of Autumn. I used some pictures as reference points to kind of build it out. The body is made out of standard cardboard, and then I covered it, and I think it was like a meat packing tray, or it had like some little bits of foam lying around, and I basically cut up that foam to kind of like cover over the exposed places of the corrugated cardboard. I used a bunch of zip tie-ins, as you can see, for the various turret points alongside the Pillar of Autumn, using pieces of paperclip to kind of simulate turret guns. On the front there is actually a button off of a coffee maker, as well as I think a little rounded bead section there for the kind of like main mat cannon on the front. Along the side I had these like plastic like junk, almost like really bad like Chinese train track toy pieces that I kind of used, stuck several together to kind of create the side engine propulsion sections. And on the very back I actually used a couple of bottle caps to simulate the main engines themselves. As you can see, I actually used a bolt for the first time ever, a bolt and nut system to actually attach the spaceship to its base. And I gotta say, hard to notice the bolt itself, incredibly solid flying base. Moving down lower onto the base itself is actually one of my proudest points about this entire build, was that I figured out how to do a Spaceship Galaxy style base very inexpensively. All I did was I painted the base black. I then took a paintbrush, I dipped it in various colors that simulated various galaxies, such as orange and blues, and I basically loaded up my brush with paint, and then I flicked it by brushing the bristles with my fingers, and flicked the paint directly onto the base itself, and then went in with a brush with like a little white paint to add in some cloudy nebula areas. And that's actually how I created the base. Going on to the actual color scheme itself, it's kind of a greenish gray. If you actually look at the Pillar of Autumn, it is kind of like a green gray kind of exterior metal, kind of looking worn and space traveled. So I went over that with a green gray paint. I then went over the top of that with, I guess it was an army painter like soft tone wash. I apparently had a bottle of that, so I decided to try this wash out, and it turned out pretty well. I used my teal and white for kind of the engines, because as you can tell, the Pillar of Autumn, it has very bright engines whenever it's flying. It's actually the main color point. I then used a little bit of blue on the front for both the gun and kind of like the main command console area. And then lastly, looking there at the sides, I used a little bit of white paint in the regions just to highlight the various windows and lights of the active spaceship. And yes, that's actually all I have for you guys today. Thank you very much for tuning into this miniature machination. Have a wonderful day. Take care.